What's up, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. Got an NFL fact here for you that I think you're all going to enjoy.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
No, Jim, I ain't kidding. It's playoff time, and we have some stats and facts to talk about, so we're gonna. And for the regular stats and facts viewers, it's gonna be a little bit different this week. Instead of picking one team or player and going all out in depth on it, we're gonna do a wild card roundup covering several teams and players in one. So without further ado, there was some playoff NFL history made this week, so let us shuffle up and deal with the hand that was dealt to us in this wild card round. First off, we'll make a stop in Glendale, Arizona to talk about the Los Angeles Rams, who dominated the Minnesota Vikings this week. I do want to start off with a props to the Cardinals organization for doing the right thing and crossing the divisional rival line to allow for the human side of the game to shine through. And I don't mean just doing the basics like allowing them to use the stadium, that's not too hard to do, but the fact that they went out of their way to prepare as if it was an actual home game for the Rams, going as far as to paint their practice fields Rams colors and flying out families and even pets. That's where it's proven that despite being foes on the gridiron, the NFL actually and really is a family when it comes down to it. And that was just awesome to see. Great job, Arizona, and maybe next year, for your sake, you get to paint your own fields your colors during the playoffs. But alright, with that being said, all of that goodwill towards men and preparation paid off for the Los Angeles Rams as they dominated the Minnesota Vikings this week, getting a record-tying most sacks in a playoff game all time en route to their 20-7-9 victory, getting 9 sacks on the day, which ties 4 other teams since 1982 when sacks became a stat. Speaking of Los Angeles, we'll now head east over to Houston as the Chargers also made some history on the road this week, but so did the Texans, so we'll lead off with the home team because why not? Nico Collins being the guy who made a little Texans franchise history this week in a victorious performance, not only caught 7 passes, one of them for an all-important touchdown, but also racked up the most receiving yards a Texans player has ever gotten in a playoff game, getting 122 receiving yards on the day, which passes up DeAndre Hopkins' 118 that he achieved in 2020 against, crazy enough, their next opponent in the Kansas City Chiefs, which is also the team that DeAndre Hopkins is on. So we'll see if Nico Collins can double up and do what he did this past week, again this week, against the former Texan, trying to do the same on his side against his former team. But on the topic of receiving yardage records and the AFC West, the Chargers also found themselves, despite the loss, making NFL history, as Ladd McConkey, to be specific, the Bulldog in cleats, an exemplary rookie for the Chargers this season. McConkey was supercharged, even though the Chargers were shockingly kind of bad. Herbert bearing the brunt of this unfortunate outing, as he actually threw more interceptions in this one game than he did over the course of the entire 2024 NFL season.
I don't know. All I know is we threw 4 interceptions.
But to be fair to the poor dude, not kick him while he's down, a couple of those weren't completely his fault, just some bad bounces. And though he sure was doing his best Nathan Peterman impression, the game wasn't all bad as the Chargers got Ladd McConkey, that is, who turned on rather, to be the beacon of lightning within the thunderstorm, as there must be, getting the most receiving yards a rookie has ever gotten in a playoff game, securing 197 yards off of his 9 receptions. One of those, of course, being his epic 86-yard catch and run for a touchdown. This passing up last year's rookie standout and fellow Los Angelian, or upon further review, actually Los Angelino, but whatever, Puka Nacua, who was able to rack up 181 receiving yards in last season's playoffs. Another rookie that made some history this week, Jaden Daniels, and the Commanders' huge win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is their first win in the postseason in nearly 20 years, last getting a victory in January of 2006 against, wildly enough, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mark Brunell heading up that squad, but the leader of the new crew in Washington, Jaden Daniels, became the first rookie quarterback to helm a team to 3 victories in one season, in which the team finished with 0 turnovers and 0 punts during the game. And with that and a doink and make, the Commanders combed through the competition and combed and combed, and then comb some more. Alright, I think that's about enough to fit it all in. And will be advancing to see if they can continue to add to that total next week on the road again against the Detroit Lions. Next up, the Commanders' Maryland counterpart, Baltimore, as the Ravens had a couple players this week make history. And of course, it's the usual suspects, Derrick Henry, who just tied fellow 2,000-yard rushing club member and NFL Hall of Famer Terrell Davis for the most 150-plus rushing yard playoff games all time with 4. And with Henry's 186 yards on the ground in that game, passed up Ray Rice and his 159 yards against the New England Patriots in 2010 for the best postseason rushing yard performance by a Baltimore Raven all time. And his hander-offer, Lamar Jackson, of course, who on Saturday night was able to surpass Steve Young's 594 yards for the most all-time postseason rushing yards by a quarterback. Jackson now coming in at 602 rushing yards. However, by Sunday afternoon, that record had actually already been broken. What?
You kidding me?
Now, for the man that outdid Jackson for the most playoff rushing yards by a quarterback, and Jackson's next opponent up, Josh Allen, who has now outrushed every single other quarterback in playoff history, now sitting above Lamar Jackson's, again, 602 yards with 609 rushing yards. But Josh Allen's historic day didn't finish without another record, as he now has the most postseason passing touchdowns in franchise history, passing up the legendary Buffalo Bills quarterback Jim Kelly for that all-time title. Jim Kelly having 21 passing touchdowns during his illustrious career, and Josh Allen now at 23 in his. The record-breaking pass being quite the toss and catch, going from a laser to a razor, as that was close, but it counted, which it looks like horseshoes and hand grenades finally has some competition, and all I gotta say is it's about damn time. Alright, moving across the 53 and 1/3 yards of turf. On the other side of the pigskin during that game, Bo Nix made some NFL history this week too. In a very fast start to this game, Bo Nix, in becoming the first Denver Broncos rookie quarterback to ever start a playoff game. John Elway helped him make it, but he didn't get the start in that game. Did something no other quarterback has ever done. With the help of a fellow rookie and former Oregon Duck teammate Troy Franklin, this duo became the very first rookies to throw and catch a touchdown pass in a playoff game ever. No other rookie quarterback having completed a touchdown pass to a rookie wide receiver in playoff history. And being that it was on the first drive of the game for the Broncos, Nix is now also only the second rookie quarterback ever to have a touchdown pass on the opening drive of a playoff game, joining Robert Griffin III, who pulled it off in 2012. And despite the tough loss for the Broncos, this season was a success, outperforming all expectation and making history both NFL and franchise in the wake of its shattering thereof. And what's even more, Bo Nix led the Denver Broncos to the playoffs, breaking all of these rookie records, doing all of these things no quarterback or Bronco has ever done, all while having a broken back since week 12 in a game against the rival Raiders, who even with that injury did not miss a single snap in that game or any starts in the following games, as was revealed this week. Wow, what a dude. And more precisely, that injury being a transverse process fracture, but essentially that's a broken back, and I gotta say there's plenty of jokes to be made about him hurting himself by carrying the Broncos on his back this season like Atlas, or the back-breaking efforts he put in this year, but my comment on the matter is a lot of people say the game has gotten softer, and I'd agree with that to a major degree. The game has, but a lot of these up-and-coming players, this including Jaden Daniels with his rib situation, even Ladd McConkey, and a lot of the others, like Puka Nacua, they're built to withstand the brutality of the intended game, and although hopefully they don't get hurt or play unwisely while hurt, the fact that their durability is without question is still awesome to see, and the fact that Bo Nix did all of that with a broken back, Jaden Daniels with his ribs, all while leading their teams to the playoffs, I think this next generation quarterbacks and players in general is going to be fun fun to watch. So that was this week. We'll see what happens or if any history goes down in the books in the upcoming weeks, but as for now, this divisional round has shaped up to be some very interesting games with a few rematches from this season, and it should be an exciting and very fun week of football. So let us enjoy it. You know what else is fun? Getting a great seat for a great price. And when you choose to use SeatGeek, a proud sponsor of SVTV and the world's best ticketing app and website, you'll have oodles of it. With their state-of-the-art seating chart, you won't have to endure the back-breaking effort of deciding what's good and what's not. They tough it out and take care of it for you. No worries, no hassle. And although I can't zero out your total, sorry, I can outdo even their great offers if you just use code SVTV for $20 off your first ticket purchase. And don't you miss out on watching something worth seeing anymore. Alright, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one, and peace out.
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.